Good morning, leaders. Hope you're well. Today, I want to speak to you about something called bias. It, it might not be something that new to you, but it might be something that as a reminder or something that opens your eyes a little. What is a bias? And think about it in this way. It's a tendency to lean towards certain perspectives or opinions, right? It's your preference pretty much that you lean towards believing in something more. And we do have different types of biases, but I'm just gonna help you to understand in a gist what is unconscious, conscious, and some amount of what stereotyping. How does that help in shaping our bias? So remember what I said of biases. It's your tendency to lean towards certain perspectives or opinions. And let me give you an example. You walk into a building and or an organization of any sort, and they say to you, "We need you to check in with our security supervisor." Now, as you start walking towards the room of the supervisor, what do you start thinking of? Who are you meeting, right? What does the person look like, as in race? What is it, a male? Is it a female? What are you picturing right now when you think of who you're going to meet? And you know typically when you hear security, people tend to lean towards, oh, it has to be a male, right? And sometimes it could be that you picture based on your mindset, how you got programmed, I would say, by society, is maybe it is an African person you're going to meet. But I am just helping you to understand how we all have biases and how that affects our decision making. So if you weren't thinking that, maybe you're thinking the next person. But again, it's based on how, your perspective of how you got shaped. And those perspectives sometimes gets us in trouble, and the decision that we make based on that. But think about this. There are many types of biases, as I said. There are conscious biases, unconscious biases, and conscious biases, as it says, something that you are conscious about. You're aware of, you're preferring something over something. So maybe you're in an interview and you're hiring somebody, and you looking at all the applications, and you say to yourself, you know what, I want only people who are coming from Queen's College. These are smart people, and you know they got their act together. And maybe because you also came from Queen's College, so you have this tendency to lean towards people that come from there. So when you review on your applications now, you see other people who have same qualifications, maybe even a little bit better experience even in the position, but they didn't come from Queen's College. They came from, say, Charlestown Secondary. And you totally, oh no, that school doesn't produce good people, or whatever you might be thinking, right? And so this is where a bias, you're conscious that you're making a decision here based on what you choose there. But that is what conscious bias looks like. Again, understanding your bias in your decision making, how it affects, getting the best. It could, you, by doing that too, you could be unfair in your process of hiring, and might even rob your company of getting the right person in the job. because the other person might have worked out even far better just because your bias was there, right? And it could be consciously you're doing that or unconsciously too, that you selecting people that you think might be the best, but you're doing it unconsciously. And unconscious is that you're not aware of it, right? It's unconscious that you actually selected somebody, or all the people you're selecting must only come from certain schools, per se. And then, our unconscious bias also stem out of stereotyping. And, right now, if you're walking down the road and you see somebody who have like a cut up pants, their clothes not looking very, good. Their appearance doesn't look too well kept. What did you just formulate about that person? Right? So stereotyping is generalizing everybody and categorizing them into one thing. Right? And some people can generalize, oh, you know what? All females are weak, right? Then they can't do certain things. Yes, maybe some can't, some can, right? So, or males are more stronger. And let me give you an example. So I went on an ATV tour with my kids and two others, right? And the tour guide, he said that we're gonna go through like a jungle area and then like a savanna area, and see, he want all the males to drive through the jungle area. And I'm like, what do you mean only the males should drive through there? And he says that the terrain is very rough, and it's preferably a male to do it. But I am just helping you to see how sometimes unconsciously, I don't know if he's conscious what he's saying, or it's unconsciously that he was doing that. But I drove the same terrain to come back. We obey and give him what he wanted. So my husband went first, and then I drove back the same thing and come back. So I am just saying how sometimes your your bias that is there, whether conscious or unconscious, how it can maybe damage relationships or offend people. What are some of the things that decisions you're making that you're not aware even that it's coming from a place that you're having a bias, right? Whether it's conscious or unconscious. So if you're not aware, it's unconscious. So right now you have in Guyana, they have certain names that are circulating of people. And when we start making assumptions about people and categorizing people, it starts to affect our judgment, right? And that's what bias does. It distorts your judgment towards a decision, maybe on somebody, or in a situation, what's not. But you have to be aware that there's something like this existing, and how it's affecting your judgment call on a daily basis, right? And so I would suggest you start working on you, meaning that look at your growth, how you are investing in growing yourself. So your personal development, yeah, your personal development of how do you go about learning about what is out there. So for me, I put a lot of emphasis on experiencing different cultures, and getting exposed also means that you are able to understand different perspectives, understand different cultures, and there are cultural biases too. right? So getting to know people and understand, it's not you in the bubble that you might be living in, that is only what you see and what you think, and that's it. And maybe because you were programmed by the society to think that way, how you were brought up, and what people said to you also formulate those kind of opinion in your head. But you have not actually met enough people to understand their different perspectives, their different way of looking at things and making better decisions. So start by exposing yourself, get into different training, meet people, listen, than speaking. Listen to what they're saying. And then next thing, start questioning your decision. Ask yourself, okay, when you make a decision, did that decision come from a place of a bias that I may have? Or is it coming from a place of facts? And be conscious that, you're making a decision, and where is it coming from? Question it. So those are just two little areas that you could start with in helping yourself. Your personal development, exposing yourself to different culture, different people, environments to keep learning from, and be open to listening to others. So think about it in this way. If you don't want to continue, making decisions just from a one-sided place because that's where you lean on, know that your bias is also affecting quality decisions, and your bias is, can hinder progress firstly. So share this video, go research a little more on biases and how does this affect you, how does it affect your decision making, and start improving by being conscious or more conscious. So the unconscious biases need to start becoming more aware for you that this is something that you're doing. Take care. Share this video.